Hey YouTube, today we're going to do a comparison that I have realized that I have not done yet. I'm going to compare the 4.25 inch Colt Anaconda to the 4.25 inch Colt Python, and these are both new release, the newer model, whatever you want to call them, that came out in the past couple of years, Colt revolvers. And before we go any further, I'm going to show you that neither one of these revolvers have anything in them, and we are clear to make this video. So what we have here, we're going to start off with, this is a Colt Python. This was released, I believe, in the year 2020. So the Colt Python came out in 1955 and was a premium revolver. And this thing is known for its aesthetic looks and its smooth action and all that kind of stuff. And they were always really expensive when they came out. And Colt, amongst the years, and I'm not going to go too far into the whole history, they stopped making this revolver altogether in 1999, and actually they stopped releasing or making all revolvers besides the single action army in 1999. And every single day there was a call from all the customers and stuff who wanted to for them to come out with this gun, re-release this gun. And finally, a couple years ago, Colt re-released this gun. A lot of people didn't think they were going to be able to do it because of all the handwork that went into the making of these things back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And I'll show you little close-ups of it. It says Colt Python 357 Magnum. And nobody thought that they would be able to duplicate this smooth action. Well, folks, they did it, and this action is probably just as smooth as the old ones. Now, they did a lot of simplifying on the internals of this gun, and they made it a lot more simpler to manufacture, and there's no hand fitting that went into it. They used CNC machines to fit this thing together, and it's absolutely spectacular. They did a great job on it. Now, these things come with laminate wood grips, and I added these. These are like the old school Colt Python Elites that they had made in the custom shops back in the day, and then I put my own little saying on the side of them. I had a laser burned into them, into the grips. But Colt Pythons are usually known to have the walnut grips with the gold medallions, and that's the theme that this one went with. This one's just a little bit different. Now, one of the complaints about the Colt Python when it came out in the 50s was they didn't make it in 44 Magnum, because the same year this gun was introduced, Smith & Wesson released the very first 44 Magnum. And Colt never made a 44 Magnum gun all the way up until 1990, and they released the Colt Anaconda, and that's what we have right above here. So the Colt Anaconda, and I'll show you this one isn't loaded. And they were the last, I think, revolver company to get into the 44 Magnum game. Well, the problem is at the time of this release, it was all bad timing that Colt put out a bad product, folks. I mean, there's no other way of saying it. It had the ventilator rib on it. It had the full underlug, so it resembled the Python, but nothing about it was a Python action or anything. It featured a coil spring action on it that worked very rough. It was just loosely put together. The cylinder wobbled. It didn't lock up as tight. The hammer and stuff was all cast. You could see cast lines in it. It was just really rough. I mean, there's no nice way to say it, and I'm a Colt guy. Well, when they started re-releasing these revolvers in, I believe, 2017, I was wondering if they would do the Python and the Anaconda, because the Colt Cobra and the King Cobra and all that turned out so well. Well, the Colt Python was an absolute surprise to me how well they did, and this was the one that I was waiting on. So they released this Colt Anaconda a couple of years ago, and this is a 4-inch. They already had it in 6-inch and 8-inch, and I have a 6-inch one also that I have videos on. Well, they released, I think last year, the 4.25-inch one. So I had to go get one of those, and here it is. Now, the complaint about them never making the Python and 44 Magnum back in the 50s when they came out, well, those questions have been answered, folks, and it only took them, 60, 70 years to do this, but This gun is the same exact action as the Colt Python that you're seeing right here. It's got the same smooth action. Everything's the same. It's got the same leaf spring configuration that the old Pythons had. They just simplified it a lot and made it and exploded everything up and made it into a 44 Magnum. And this thing is awesome. It is a really, really cool gun. And if you want to know the differences between the two, if you look at them side by side, there is no differences, folks, except for caliber and size. So if you look at the cylinder on this Anaconda versus the Python, the 44 Magnum is obviously a whole lot bigger than the 357 Magnum. But everything else got like pretty much the same hammer spur on it on the Python as it does the Anaconda. It's got the same trigger pretty much. The Anaconda is a little bit wider because it's a wider frame than the actual 357 Python is. But all the corners are all finished off the same on the Python as they are the Anaconda. It's just an absolutely exquisite job that they did on this gun. So you have the size, the looks, and now you also have the performance and a 44 Magnum, and that's what everybody's always wanted. Now these came with rubber grips, and I put these Altamont grips on them because they have a little bit of texturing and grip to them, and they have finger grooves which fit my big hands really well. And this gun shoots awesome. It really shoots well. But I want to show you side by side. There's absolutely no differences. Both barrel sizes are exactly the same. Both configurations are exactly the same. One of the other things I was going to mention is one of the shortcomings in the new Colt revolvers is this rear sight. And I have not changed this yet. This is the factory sight, and it's probably the best one I've ever seen, but it does have a little bit of movement here. And this blade here on top it's got a little Allen head set screw on it. And it's absolutely horrible. This one being the best one I've ever seen is still pretty bad. And what I did is I changed over to the Wilson Combat rear battle sight on it. And if you look through here, it's got a better sight picture, but the most important part is the way it fits. It absolutely fits tight into the frame of the gun, and that's what's most important to me. I like really good fitting stuff and stuff that's actually functioning. So I didn't know. I'd never seen anybody actually show the exact two same sizes, and these are both in stainless of the 4 1/4 inch Colt Python chambered in 357 Magnum, the newest model ones, and the 4 1/4 Colt Anaconda chambered in 44 Magnum. Pretty much the same gun, folks. The only difference is going to be your physical size and your caliber. So if you have any questions on either one of these guns, feel free to ask. I'm not an expert on either one of them, but I'll be happy to answer any question that's within my power to do. Thank you very much for watching this video today, and you folks have a great day.